Hey all, gosh, I can't remember when the last video was that I recorded. I'm trying to remember. Was it in June? End of June, maybe? Somewhere in that vicinity. But greetings and welcome, salutations. Sorry I've been away for a while. I'm sure the anti Semites have been glad and the collectivists have been happy, but freedom doesn't rest, even if it procrastinates, which I do. This video obviously is for anyone who wants to watch it, but specifically it's for a friend of mine, a very dear friend of mine, who I consider my best friend in the world for about 15 years now. We met 15 years ago this month, actually. So this is for you, Robbie, in Tennessee. We'll just leave it at first name and state. Um, this may turn into a two-part video, but it's primarily for my friend Robbie in Tennessee. It also could be for anyone really who has attended a little college in Kentucky known as Alice Lloyd College. My friend Robbie and I attended school there for a year in the mid 90s. And the prompting or the motivation behind this particular video, and it may turn into two parts, we'll see how it goes. I guess it would have been about 3 Sundays ago. This was on August 2nd. I was visiting my parents, and we were trying to think of something fun to do on a lazy Sunday. Um, and my mom suggested that my dad and I go somewhere or do something together, mail bonding type thing. So we decided or I came up with the idea of visiting Alice Lloyd College. And from where my parents live, you're talking about a 2.5 hour, 2 hours and 40 minutes drive one way on these country roads. I mean, it seems like you're on almost 9 or 10 different country roads before you get there from where they live. So we decided to do that. And I'm telling you, it was such a trip down memory lane, Robbie. I know you'll be familiar with the places I talk about here, and a lot of you won't really get the humor or the nostalgia about this. Um, so, my dad and I set out for Alice Lloyd College, and it was a lot of fun. But we went through some familiar places, and I know Robbie went to school differently than I did in terms of his commute or his route that he went to school. So some of these places won't really mean anything. But I drove through, what is the name of that area? Now I've drawn a blank on this area. Naugatuck. There's an area called Naugatuck in West Virginia in Mingo County. And you're talking, for those of you not from West Virginia, that's in BFE, if you know what I mean. But we drove through there. We drove through Kermit. And after you go through Kermit, you cross a little bridge over some river or creek, and I don't know what it's called, but you cross into Kentucky at that point. And you come into a little area known as Beauty. Is that the name of it? Or Warfield. Warfield is the name of the area. Don't know if it's even incorporated. So anyway, we drive on and continue on our way, and we end up stopping at a little gas station on a highway in eastern Kentucky, and the town or the unincorporated area is known as Inez, I-N-E-Z. I told my dad, because when Robbie and I were at Alice Lloyd College, we lived in different areas, but it never failed every week. I don't know if Robbie, did you stay one weekend and work? I can't remember. You can email and let me know. But other than maybe that, it seems like every weekend we went home. We couldn't wait for Friday to arrive because we hated this place. I mean, we absolutely hated the time period that we were at that college. In hindsight now, I see where different things could have happened that would have made it more fun if we would have been more spontaneous and less encumbered by maybe moral constraints or societal expectations. We could have made that more fun. Just a note for those of you watching, and Robbie, you'll remember this. Knott County, Kentucky, which is where this school is, is a dry county. Now, when I think of dry counties, I think of Otis Campbell and the Andy Griffith Show and arresting people for moonshining or whatever, running a still. Uh, but this county is, as far as I know to this day, is a dry county. Kentucky has dry counties where they can't sell alcohol. You can't buy or sell alcohol. I don't know if you're even supposed to own it, technically. But there's a town nearby, or a county that adjoins Knott County, known as Perry County. Robbie, you'll remember that. And they sell alcohol. They're the closest wet county, I guess you would say. That sounds a little bit obscene. But anyway, they sell alcohol in Perry County, and that's where Hazard is. There actually is a town known as Hazard, and that's where the restaurants are and the Walmart. I think that was the first Walmart I ever had been in, and we're talking, 15 years ago. But so anyway, we we stopped. I went off on a tangent there. Anyway, getting back to the story, we stopped at a gas station in Inez, and where I was going with that was every Friday, and we would schedule our classes so that on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, or on Friday anyway, we wanted our classes to be over with and done as early as possible. Preferably if we could have our last class end at 10 o'clock in the morning or 11 at the latest on Fridays. And we jetted out of there. Robbie, you'll recall that on Thursday nights or early Friday mornings, we would load our cars up. Do you remember the 88 Ford Ranger, and I think you had the Chevy Cavalier? We would load those up, ready for the weekend, ready to jet out of town. And as soon as our last class ended on Friday, I mean, for me anyway, and I'm sure Robbie was maybe this way too, we made a beeline for our car just to get out of there. It was such a feeling of liberation to go home and be away from that place, knowing that Sunday evening we had to come back. So Sunday evenings, now we're getting back to my story. Sunday evenings, this gas station in Inez, Kentucky, was a regular stop that I would make. I would stop there because it was not a halfway point. I was maybe 2/3 of the way there. But I would stop there, take care of physical needs, use the restroom, get gasoline if I needed it, maybe buy a snack, a soda or chips or candy or something, and continue on my not so merry way to Alice Lloyd College. But anyway, Dad and I stopped there when we were on our little road trip, and there was a guy working there, about 20 years old. If I were guessing, this guy's about 20. I came out of the restroom and my dad's chatting with this guy because my dad's very chatty. I mean, he'll talk to anyone. So my dad says, Bub, he calls me Bub, or Matt. I think he called me Matt because this guy's there. He said, Matt, this guy goes to Alice Lloyd. So we talked for, I'm going to say 10 or 15 minutes with this guy, and business was slow at his gas station. I'm sure everyone was in church. But I talked to this guy, and it was so interesting to talk to him because he said he was thinking of transferring from Alice Lloyd to Marshall University in Huntington, West Virginia, which is exactly what Robbie and I both did at the same time. I think Robbie had the idea first as a means of liberation from the concentration camp of Alice Lloyd College, and we decided to transfer. Well, this guy's thinking of the same thing for the same reasons that we did. And I thought, oh my gosh, as I stood there listening to this guy and watching him, I felt like I was looking at a mirror image of me from, we'll say, 14 years ago, or 15. And I thought, if I could go back in time, what would I tell me? What would I tell myself as advice with 15 years hindsight, 20/20 vision? And it was really almost kind of a moving moment for me. It was touching in a way to think about how time flies, and I see my time is flying now for this video, so we are going to go into a part 2 here. Be right back. We'll continue our story after this.